Hello, everybody, and welcome to the WDW Fan Zone Show. And on this edition, we're going to discuss making a Disney World and Disney Cruise combo vacation. Um, there are a lot of things that you can do to make it go wrong, and there are a lot of things you can do to make it go better than anything you've ever experienced in your entire life. John, you just came off of a combo cruise world vacation.
I did when we were on the Marvel Day at Sea cruise. At the end of the cruise, we actually stayed 3 days in Walt Disney World using some of our DVC points.
And yours was a little more difficult than a normal cruise and world combo because you were coming from Miami rather than Port Canaveral, which Port Canaveral is only 45 minutes from the world.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the things I think is helpful to talk about is transportation. So,
Mhm.
yeah, for us it was a little challenging. We probably would have rented a car anyway, but we ended up having to rent a car in Miami and after the cruise and then drive up to Orlando,
Mhm.
and then we had to drop the car off in Orlando. So we had to look at what the price of a rental car was to pick it up in one place and drop it off another. We had to have the time to drive from Miami to Orlando after the cruise. And so it took a little bit of planning. And we also had to determine from Miami where were we going to get the rental cars? There are a
Mhm.
lot of rental car locations around Miami, and there are some downtown closer to the port. We chose to pick our car up at the airport, so we had to get a taxi from the port to the airport, and then, well, actually, not to the airport, but to the rental car facility near the airport, and then go from there. So, yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to
Mhm.
talk about. Is it makes a difference if you're going out of Miami versus Canaveral. But even if you're going out of Port Canaveral, you still have to look at the transportation. So if you go on the cruise first, you need the transportation from Walt Disney World to the port.
Yep.
Or if you go on the cruise first, after you come back from the cruise, you need transportation from Port Canaveral to Walt Disney World.
Yeah. Now, I've done both where I've stayed before and after. Now, for those who are cruising this day and age, with the restrictions that are going on the cruise line, I vehemently would not recommend going to the world first and then on a cruise because you have to take your COVID test before you
Yeah.
get on the ship. And if you fail, out you go. No second chances. So why risk it? But if things ever get back to normal, and they're starting to, and it's no longer required, then by all means, do both.
Well, that's a good question. And that is, do you have, other than times the way they are, do either of you have a preference for going to Walt Disney World first and then to the cruise, or taking your cruise first and then stopping off at Walt Disney World afterward?
Yeah, I do have a preference. I think I would. Like I said, I've done both, gone before and after. I've done before and after on the same cruise. I would recommend going before if times were completely normal, because going to Walt Disney World can be exhausting.
Mhm.
And a cruise is very yes, you're busy, but it's a relaxing busy, or a relaxed busy. So I would prefer the before to the after, but in this day and age, right now, where we are right now, I would not under any circumstances recommend going before.
What about you, Darlene? Do you have a preference?
I've done it once, where we did 2 days before the cruise in Walt Disney World, and then we did 3 days after the cruise in Walt Disney World. And, I think you're better off. For me, it was good. I needed to unwind from work, go on the cruise, unwound, and then I enjoyed my trip after because I got to, play in the parks before I came home. So it was very, very good. But this time with how we live down here now, it was a lot different.
Mhm.
But I would suggest maybe doing a day or two before the cruise and a day or two after the cruise, just because you come back and if you go straight home after the cruise, you're kind of missing, you feel like you're missing out on something.
Yeah, you feel I agree with you there. If you step off the ship and get on a taxi or a transfer and go directly to the airport, it's very depressing. You feel, it's just all of a sudden it's over.
Yeah, but if you have to pick one before or after, which I think your question was,
Uh,
which would it be?
Yeah, yep. That was the original question, and Darlene
So, Darlene,
reminded us,
let's not skate around the issue here.
well,
Pick
you,
you have to choose sides.
you could have your cake and eat it too, I guess.
That's how I eat my cake.
But that wasn't the question. So if someone put a gun to your head, would you and times are normal, would you rather go before or after? Which is your preference?
Probably before,
And then unwind like Stuart.
just on the cruise, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I mean, either which way, I'm still going with my thing. But if you're gonna force me to say something, I'll say go before, because this way you're at least you can unwind from work and go on the
Mhm.
cruise and be relaxed because you don't want to be stressed going on the cruise.
Right. Like if there were if things were normal, like I said before, I would definitely recommend doing both before and after.
Hmm.
Especially if you're going from Port Canaveral. Miami's a little more difficult, but if you're going from Port Canaveral, absolutely, do a couple of days before and after.
Well, and there is one of the positives to going to Disney World first before the cruise is that you don't have to use an extra night stay at the port. So if you did your
Yes.
cruise first, I never feel safe arriving in Orlando the day of the cruise.
Mhm.
Right.
You really
That's a
want to
big thing too.
you really want to arrive a
Yeah.
day early so you've got a
Yep.
little bit of a buffer if you have an issue with the plane or weather or whatever. So if you go on the cruise first, you're you're arriving in the Central Florida area, and then you're likely staying at a hotel at Port Canaveral.
Yep.
So
True.
that's costing you a little extra money to stay at that hotel.
Mhm.
Then you've got the cruise, and then you've got Disney World. Where if you go to Disney World first, that gives you that buffer and that bit of safety. If you go 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, whatever beforehand,
Right.
you're already in the area and you don't have that concern about missing the ship. And then
Yep.
you also don't have to stay a night in Port Canaveral.
And I completely agree with that. But in this day and age where we are right now, if you're going to stay at Disney World before, do it the night before. So you make sure you're there. Do not go into the parks and be safe for yourself.
Oh yeah, yeah. To this present time notwithstanding.
Right. Normal times, go have fun, enjoy, and do anything and everything.
Well, that's the
And let's
same
hope we
thing
get
even
back to
with
those
going
times soon.
home. Going home is the same thing. If you're, you know, you still need their transportation to go back to the airport and
Yep.
stuff, and you never know, you could get stuck there too.
You know what I find funny? It's like as soon as we were told, okay, we can be mask free, it seems like everything disappeared. We're back to normal. But you know what? The sad truth is we're not. So you still have to be careful. I'm not going to get into anything like, like say what you should or shouldn't do. But you have to be careful, especially if you're going on a cruise. So no matter where you're coming from and how you're getting there, you have to take precautions because you want to pass that test. That's the one test. When I say pass, I mean you want to fail that test because
Yeah,
you want it to be a negative.
a
You want
negative.
a negative result no matter what. And I think
I
the requirement is that you still have to be fully vaccinated to get on the cruise too.
Right. And I also believe that they were talking about keeping the travel mask mandate on for another
Yes,
month.
30
So
days. Yep.
we're not there yet.
No, no, we're getting there, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
So we've gone through that part of it. What about tips in terms of packing? Now, the cruise, now I found something very different on this last cruise that we were on than any other Disney cruise I've ever been on. There was
Pack
no,
too much?
well, yeah, that's always the case. There was no formal night. And at dinner time, I remember being on cruises where most of the guys were wearing either button-down shirts or polo shirts and slacks. On this cruise, it was t-shirts, sandals, shorts. There was no dress code. Where there in the past there had been a small semblance of a dress code. So the times have changed. It was 6 years in between cruises.
Well, I am now a Platinum Castaway Club member, and so it means I've done 10 Disney cruises. And the only time that I've ever worn a button-down shirt has been in Palo. I have always been casual, and I've been cruising now for 13 years. And my only point is that even when people would dress up for the quote formal night, or you'd see, people being a little more dressy at dinner, I I have never felt uncomfortable being casual
Mhm.
at dinner.
Yeah, and I think now it's much more widely accepted as 99.9% of the people having dinner in the ship cruise that we were on were dressed very casually. And you know what? I like it because it's less to pack, or there's more room in my suitcase because you're not bringing long pants
Yeah.
for every night.
Of course, I was packing a costume, so I took up the space I've
Yeah.
taken up for a suit with my costume.
Oh God, John's costume was incredible.
And an extra
It
pair of
was.
running shoes, and I I
Mm.
had I had a pair of sneakers that I was wearing, and I had 2 pair of shoes in my pack luggage. One pair of nice shoes to wear to Palo, and then another pair of running shoes that it was actually part of my costume because the color fit the costume.
Mm.
So I actually bought a pair of running shoes so I wouldn't have to buy a pair of boots to only use one time.
Oh, that's funny. That's fine. And for those listening, if you don't know, if you remember the show WandaVision, John's wife Kelly was Wanda, and John in his costume was truly a vision.
That reminds me, we'll keep talking here, but I have a little show and tell for the people that can see if I can get this to work. But
Yeah,
uh,
they've changed the portal here, which or studio that we're recording from, and I love it so far. So, but I don't know if it'll be as easy for you to get it up there. But let's see if you can. Oh, that. Oh, I thought you
Oh
could get a
yeah.
picture of yourself. Yeah, John
He
had
got
this
his
red makeup
eye.
on with.
I have the Mind Stone on my forehead right now.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
it was. It was.
So you're right. The packing, you have to think about, and the things you wear on the cruise don't completely overlap with what you would wear at Disney World. For instance,
Correct.
and they can, but you might have something for the sand for Castaway Key. You know,
Mhm.
now if you're going to the pool at Walt Disney World, maybe you can have some overlap there. But so it probably would be helpful to try to find things to wear, and it also depends on what the weather's like.
Yep.
So
Right.
depending on the time of year, it could be cooler in Orlando than it is down in the Caribbean. So you might
That's very
have
true.
warm clothes to wear. I mean, sorry, lighter weight clothes to wear on the cruise, and you might need long slacks or jeans, long shirts or sweatshirts
Mhm.
even to wear in Orlando. So that's something else you have to consider,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
as well as depending on the number of days for the cruise and the number of days at Disney World, do you need to do laundry?
Hmm.
And if you do, are you going to do the laundry on the ship, or are you going to try to do it at your resort in Walt Disney World? Or, if you're a DVC member and you're fortunate enough to have a one bedroom or better. So that's one of the things that we've done with DVC is if we're able to get a DVC one bedroom, if we have the points available,
Hmm.
what we like to do is do the Disney World afterward, go on the cruise, and then when you get to Disney World, use the washer and dryer at the villa,
Yep.
and then you can get things cleaned up, and then you don't have to pack as much to do the two together.
Right, but please, folks, do your laundry. Nobody wants to smell your stank. Do it. My generation, the mothers of my generation would tell their children, wear clean underwear. You never know what's going to happen to you. You could wind up in a hospital. You don't want them to look and see your dirty, filthy.
Oh my God.
Keith and I did that after one of our cruises, since we were staying a few days after we did laundry, so we had clothes to wear while we were in the parks.
Mhm.
We stayed
Yeah.
at the beach or the boardwalk, and the boardwalk had facilities right there by the
You know,
pool.
when I did not live in Florida, and we would go to the parks, I tend to dress a little bit different than I do now being down here. Down here, it's like, all right, I'm wearing worn out shorts. I don't care as long as it has enough pockets to carry all my crap
Cargo
when I'm in the
shorts.
park. Yeah, t-shirts, that I'll wear old t-shirts, the same t-shirts, whatever comfortable. When I was on vacation, hey, I'm on vacation. I'm getting new clothes. I'm wearing something new every day. Yeah, not so much now. But on a cruise, it really, just be comfortable. Same thing in the parks. Be as comfortable as you can. Don't worry about whether it's casual, a little dressy, whatever you're comfortable in. And make sure you're comfortable for whatever the weather is. If it's cool, if it's warm, if it's hot, whatever the temperatures are, you want to be prepared and comfortable as you prepare. Trying to think what boy, it's, I know some people, especially the ladies, no offense, like to pack different shoes for different occasions, different days, different hours of the day.
Well, what
Keep
you need to do is you need to remember you have to pack a pair of walking shoes for extended walking. You need to pack a pair if you're planning on going to the beach, you want to have a pair of beach shoes and then dress shoes.
Yeah, by beach you mean Castaway Cay
Yes.
or one of the other islands they may.
Or some people go to the beach at Nassau or
Mhm. Yeah.
other islands as well. Yeah.
Um, I forgot what I was going to say.
Hmm?
Another thing that you have to remember too is if you're driving yourself to the ports, you do have tolls and stuff if you go on certain roads, like the
A
Florida
lot of
Turnpike.
rentals will offer you the Sun or Easy Pass to have in the car.
Some people take it, some people don't.
Yes, that's true. You're right. And that can be a problem.
Hmm.
I have my own. I've had my own Sun Pass for over 10 years. I
Wow.
picked it up at one of the convenience stores in the area,
Hmm.
and I have to load some credits on it before my trip, but it's nice to have it, not have to worry about going through the toll booths.
Oh, yeah. Something else to keep in mind. I don't know, not all the airlines are doing this, but Frontier is limiting suitcases to 40 pounds now.
Right.
Um,
Well, that's their way to make money too.
of course. After all, they did buy Spirit, so they're getting into the spirit of things, charge for every little thing they can.
Uh, but when you mention things like the tolls, one of the other things that you need to think about is your budget.
Yes.
So if we know that neither Disney World nor Disney Cruise are inexpensive. You know,
Mhm.
you're getting a premium product, you're paying a premium price. When you put the two together, you have to think about, you know, what your budget's going to be, and
Yeah.
that could affect how long your cruise is, how long your Disney World stay is going to be. So that's certainly something you have to do some planning for. Is the
Mhm.
budget, which is another reason to or another positive for staying at Disney World first. As I said before,
Yeah.
if you go to Port Canaveral first, that's an extra night's hotel stay, and you can, you know, get inexpensive hotels at Port Canaveral, but uh, you just have to think about what are all your costs going to be between resort stays and tickets and uh, the
Yeah.
cruise itself, how much
Genie
alcohol you drink
Plus.
on the cruise.
Yeah. Um, yeah, everything adds up. And yes, Disney World has gotten more expensive. The cruises are expensive. So you have to, everybody's got a budget. I don't care how poor or rich you are. Everyone has a budget. Work within your budget. And speaking of working within your budget, you know who's great at working within your budget? Mouse Fan Travel. Mouse Fan Travel works with you and they do things your way. And it's the only way. They plan the vacation you want, not the vacation they want for you. It's always your decision to do what you want when you want. They'll help guide you through with things to do, where to go, where to stay, where to eat or dine. Absolutely the best customer service you'll find anywhere. So whether it's a Disney cruise, a Disney World stay, a Disneyland stay, another Disney park, somewhere overseas, or an Alani resort vacation, or an adventure by Disney, whatever you want to do, even if it's a non-Disney vacation, wherever you want to go, Mouse Fan Travel gets you there the right way, which is your way. And how do you find out more about their great deals going on right now at Disney World, Disneyland, and everywhere else? Go to www.mousefantravel.com. That is www.mousefantravel.com, and let them know WDW Fan Zone sent you. Okay. Yeah. Budgets. I guess the most number one thing is figure out your budget first before you figure anything else out. Then you can figure out what cruise to go on and where to stay and how long to stay at Disney World. Or you know, I guess there are cruises out of California too. I don't think there are that many Disney cruises.
Not as many, but they certainly do. Right?
Yeah. So if you could do a land sea cruise from California as well. And also check with Mouse Fan Travel about that. They'll help you out with that.
Wait, that's another good tip is if you're arranging a trip that has both components to it,
Mhm.
if you work with a travel planner, they can help you with both. Now,
Yeah.
for myself, being a DVC member, I can't work with a travel planner to arrange my DVC stay,
Correct.
and I'm also an annual pass holder. So
Mhm.
so for me, it's really just working on the cruise part. But if you're not DVC, you can work with a travel planner to orchestrate both of them. You can talk to them about the transfers or the transportation. And with the transfers being, you know, a Disney bus to take you from the airport to the cruise terminal or from
Mhm.
Disney World to the cruise terminal. But you also have the other options of, you know, a rental car and driving yourself. You know, sometimes a rental car
Yeah.
is even if you leave it in the Port Canaveral parking or garage while you're gone, you can get a week long stay or whatever, a week long rental or more, and it can still be reasonable enough. Now these days, with the cost of rental cars being so high,
And
maybe that's not
gas.
a good idea lately, and the gas. But so you've got the transfers, the rental cars, but you also can get a you can rent a town car or some
A
other
U-Haul.
what's that?
The U-Haul.
Uh, Well,
Yeah,
I
I
haven't
know.
I haven't went to the U-Haul in Orlando yet. Although I was looking, where was it? There was some place I was looking recently. Oh, I think it might be Orlando. Yeah. I was looking in Orlando and I was looking at the price of a rental car and it was like $600 for 4 days. And I said, there's just no way that I'm going to rent a rental car for $600. So maybe I'll have to go back and look at the U-Haul site for that. Yeah, I think I believe that I could get a town car from the airport and back for cheaper than it would be to rent a vehicle for 4 days.
Yeah, and you know what else is cheap? If you don't want to do the rental car, Murray's Mopeds at MCO. No, I'm kidding. There's no such thing.
Hey, you never know.
No.
Murray's Mopeds in Corner Deli.
Yeah. Yeah, Murray's Mopeds and Bagels.
Mm.
Um,
I have
yeah,
a question for both
yeah,
of you,
sure.
and this is one of your favorite topics, Stuart. If you're going on a cruise and you're also going to Disney World, does that affect how you plan for dining at Disney World?
Oh, my plans for dining at Disney World have changed over the years, and they've changed over the years because of the cost. We used to go on the dining plan all the time, and then it became absolutely unaffordable to go on the dining plan because they kept taking away what they offered you and raising the prices. I don't even know where the prices are anymore. So we stopped using the dining plan. I'm one who likes to wing my dining. So it's go in the parks and see what's available. Well, and aside from being on a cruise and going to Disney World, right now you go into Disney World, you can't get dining. If
Yeah,
you want
it's
a sit
very
down
hard.
restaurant and you haven't made those dining reservations way in advance, you're out of luck. Unless you get lucky with a walk-in, and those are few and far between lately. But if I have a cruise planned out, and if I were not living here and I had a cruise planned out and I was coming here, I would plan out at least one or two of the meals way in advance. What I don't like about that is I don't know what I'm going to be in the mood to eat or where or when. I don't like being told where to go, when to go, and what to do. Which is probably why I don't like Genie and Genie Plus. But I'm not going to knock it for those who use it and do need it and to help them get through the parks better. But
Well, do you think you would plan less nice dinners in Disney World after you've been on a cruise or before you've been on the cruise, just based on, how much you're able to eat while you're on the cruise?
I'm trying to think back to, it's hard to say because if you get the dining on cruises, it's like having a five-star restaurant to eat at every night. And then to go to Walt Disney World before or after, while the food is absolutely amazing at the counter service restaurants, most of them, it's not the same as a sit-down dining experience at Disney. Those are comparable. Actually, cruise dining is better than even many of the sit-down restaurants in the parks. That's not to knock the sit-down restaurants in the parks. They are great. But there's something a little, I don't know what the right word is for Disney cruising, but it's just like on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 10. In the parks, on a scale of 1 to 10, the sit-down restaurants are probably like a 9.9. So you get comfortable with that. You don't want to give that up just because you're off the cruise ship. You're still on vacation.
True.
Yeah. How about yourself, John?
That's a tough one. So
Yeah, it is.
when we were down there for the cruise in February, we were so full. I mean, we had eaten so well every day when we were on the cruise. We did have one restaurant reserved, I think, but most of the rest of the time we stuck to counter service. So we did not do a lot of big meals. It helped to come down from that stuffing yourself
Yeah,
on the
the
cruise.
richness of availability of awesome food.
Yeah, yeah, I don't. It's got to be tough to go on a 10-day cruise. I don't know if I could walk after
Yeah, I know.
that.
There's an 8-day cruise coming up next year in Bermuda that Lou Mangello and the WW Radio Group are going to. That's going to be tough for some folks. Um,
So I guess we'll find out then, how those longer cruises
yeah,
are.
I do agree with you. You want to find a way to ease off of that, ordering 3, 4 entrees at a time. Not entrees, appetizers, a couple of entrees, a few desserts. Now, granted, the portions aren't as big as you would get at a restaurant, but they're bigger. They've gotten bigger over the years than they used to be. I'll tell you, Disney Cruise Line knows how to treat their guests. You want to be treated like royal. I wish the parks would continue to do what they do on the Disney cruises. If they treated their guests the way Disney Cruise Line does, you'd have far fewer complaints, even with all the issues that Genie Plus seemingly has. And I say seemingly because I only know from what I'm reading online. I don't know how accurate the guests are describing what's going on. And from some of the people that live around here that are frequent park goers. But if there is some truth to that, I think Disney needs to step up their game just a little bit to get to where the cruise lines are, because they really know how to treat their guests.
Yeah. Well, and it's two different experiences if you
Yes,
think about it.
absolutely.
When you're on a cruise ship, I mean, I love being on cruises, and Darlene and you talked about how there's a lot to do, but there's also a lot of opportunity to relax.
Yes.
But dining is such a central part of a cruise,
Mhm.
and it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
that it's not an important part of a Disney World vacation, but there's more focus on the parks, experiences, attractions, and then the food kind of complements it.
Right.
Whereas the food is so core to a cruise. So there's a subtle difference there.
Oh, yeah,
Even though you've got
absolutely.
fine dining in both locations.
And I just want to mention that the the criticism, if you want to call it that, it's not directed against cast members by any means. They're doing an outstanding job on a ship or in the world itself. It's the circumstances around it in the world that have changed a bit that are getting guests a little ornery, just to keep things a little clean. But you're right. It's a completely different experience, and you have to know that. When you're on a cruise ship, there are activities you can choose to do or not do. There's dining that you can take advantage of or not. There's room service that's free, I want to add. While you're at Walt Disney World, it's like you're shuffling on from one park to another park, from one attraction to another attraction, to a show, to dining and the shops, and it's a completely different experience. And your expectations have to be different for each part of your combo vacation, your land and sea vacation.
When you mentioned the shops, and that's another thing that fits into the budget.
Hmm.
So we all know how you run into so many things in Walt Disney World that you're tempted to purchase in all of the gift shops there. And the shopping on a Disney cruise doesn't have nearly as many gift shops, but they have unique merchandise.
Well, two full ones that are together. Then they have the jewelry stand.
Right, right.
The
And
art.
then there's also gift shops on Castaway Key.
Hmm.
So that's something else to think about. What I was, I had on my list is, when it comes to shopping, does and what do you, Darlene, do do you see yourself spending less money within the gift shops in Walt Disney World when you're on a cruise?
Normally like something unique. Like when we were in Alaska, I got the Alaska blanket. Um, so yes, you do find different things.
Hmm. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. On Castaway Key, they've got, and I bought the T-shirt, the Cookies T-shirt.
Mm,
Yeah.
You
And I
can't
bought
get
the
that in the park.
Castaway Key spirit jersey shirt,
right.
which is like very light for Florida.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can find different things. And I like the uniqueness of what you find
Hmm.
on the cruise ship, and especially on Castaway Key too, because it's very different from what you're going to get in the parks.
I do as well.
And the parks have some unique stuff too. So you're right. You do have to budget very carefully.
Yeah. Well, and when you think about it, that also affects, or that's also something to think about for which experience you choose to do first, Walt Disney World or the
Mhm.
cruise. If you go, and you could end up spending more than you plan if you forget that, you go to Walt Disney World first and you see things in shops and you buy, you're in Magic Kingdom, you buy something in the Emporium, you're in Epcot, you go to the creation shop and you buy something there, or in one of the pavilions in World Showcase. So, and then you end up on the cruise. Oh, and you see, oh, there's this Castaway Key thing or Disney Cruise Line thing
Mhm.
that, like you say, is unique, and you get caught up and you buy that too,
Yep.
which also feeds into the packing because now you've got two
Yep.
places
That's right.
where you can be
Always,
purchasing things that have to go in your luggage to go home.
always leave a little extra room for that little something extra that you may pick up on your way.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I had brought a pair of sandals, sneakers, and dress shoes on the cruise, not knowing, because I was used to the way things were 6 years ago. And the dress shoes that I bought were shoes that I had worn when I was working, and I knew I wasn't bringing them home. So that was something I knew that were going to be expendable when the cruise was over, and I just threw them in the trash. So I had that little extra room in my suitcase. I'm not saying everybody should do that. I don't think I wore those shoes once on the cruise. That's it.
Mm.
Um, but it's just make sure that whatever you bring with you on the cruise, you've got a little extra space for those unexpected trinkets you pick up.
Well, and Disney capitalizes on that because in Walt
Absolutely.
Disney World and in the gift shops on the Disney cruise ships,
Mhm.
you can buy luggage. So,
Yes. Yes.
I seen that this time. Yep.
Yeah.
and
Nice
let's face
display
it,
too.
they're more than happy to sell you
Yeah.
another piece of luggage to take the extra gifts home with you,
Yep. Yep.
which then adds to your budget because you paid more for that, and then you've got more to pay to the airlines to put the luggage under
Mhm.
the checked luggage area.
Seeing with us driving this time, Stuart and Michelle and I could
Ah,
have just put all the bags right in the back of the truck.
Yep. Yep. And the funny thing was, though, it's a good thing we had the truck, because the SUV the SUV that we have would not have fit everyone's luggage.
Yeah.
Maybe
Pickup
half of
truck
it.
worked out great.
Yeah, it did. Um, I'm trying to think, is there anything else that we haven't discussed that can help people out? If you've never done a land and sea trip,
Try it at least once.
oh my God, there's nothing better. Like I said, my preference in normal circumstances would be go to Disney World before and after, not just after. But right now, I can't recommend going before. I would recommend staying on property the night before, if just to make sure you're there for the cruise, and finding transportation from the Walt Disney World Resort to Port Canaveral. But work with your travel agent. Let your travel agent help guide you. But remember, you want a travel agent that's going to guide you to what you want to do, not what they want you to do. They will give you advice, but do what's best for you. And
Yeah, that's true too.
yeah. I think that's it. I think we provided people with a lot to think about to do a world and sea, or land and sea, however you want to call it, cruise. The time of year, one thing we didn't discuss, the time of year. If you're going to do a cruise, the time of year you go is crucial. If you go Christmas time or Easter time on a Disney cruise and you're planning on going to the world and it's smack dab in the middle of it, or spring break, you're not going to have a pleasant experience in the parks dealing with all those crowds. There are ways around it, and John, you can attest to it. You've found workarounds, but John is an experienced park goer, where some people, it could be their first time, and you want Disney World to be a pleasant experience, and you're going to have to take advantage of the tools that they give you to make it a more pleasant experience. By tools, I mean Genie Plus, and maybe even the paper rides, but that adds to the budget too.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah. Anybody else want to add anything or discuss anything we haven't yet for our listeners or viewers? Okay. Peace out.
I was going to say, we got crickets there, and I don't.
Look, everybody, be safe. If you're going on a land and sea cruise, you're gonna have a great time. And I hope our show helped you out with whatever you decide to do. And until next time, bye-bye.
I was just thinking, there's a Disney song that the lyrics actually have two of the Disney ships in the lyrics, and that is, "A dream is a wish your heart makes." Peace out to you too. Good night.
Have a magical night. Stay safe, and I guess peace out. I'm so tired. Oh.